2 minutes on clock. Okay, 2 minutes. Over 130 years ago, a young man in Kentucky named Colonel Sanders, yes, the fried chicken one, only had a Social Security check left and $50 in his bank account. But he had dreams of opening his own fried chicken restaurant. So he went door to door trying to sell the recipe. He knocked and knocked on hundreds of doors each week. However, there were no takers on his delicious fried chicken recipe. However, one day, he knocked on the house of a great investor, and he helped launch Colonel Sanders into the massive fast food franchise that it is today. This relates to today's quotation. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself, by George Bernard Shaw. What this means is that inaction will lead to nothing. In order to have success in life, you must act on it and be persistent in your pursuits. And we can see this through 3 key areas. First, perseverance. Second, standing up for yourself. And finally, never surrendering, even when times are at their lowest. First, though, we must take a look at how you must keep on pursuing and pursuing through perseverance. And we can see this through the story of Soichiro Honda. Soichiro Honda was a businessman in Japan in the 40s and 50s. However, during World War II, his factory was bombed and blown up 2 times, even though he had nothing to do with the war effort. Even after the war, he started another factory, which was destroyed in a massive earthquake. Now, most normal people after this time would decide maybe owning factories isn't for me and push it away. However, Soichiro Honda was different. He had this dream, so he kept going. So even after 3 failures, he created another one, and created the idea to put a motor and a bicycle, leading to the world's first motorcycles, and revolutionizing the company known today as Honda. This was all because he was committed to the goal he set for himself, and he was going to let nothing take over that goal. So he kept on going, kept making factories and machines until he found success. And we must all do this. If we ever have a goal, we cannot skip out on the pursuit. We cannot falter too easily because of a few failures. We must instead keep on going, because that is the only way to find true success and how to create yourself. Second, though, we have to take a look at standing up for yourself for bullies. And we can see this through the story of Roald Dahl. Now, you might be most common with Roald Dahl as a creator of wonderful childhood stories, such as Willy Wonka and the Child Factory and Fantastic Mr. Fox. However, these same attributes that led to these magical books were actually some of the points of his failures in bullying as a child. He was bullied day and night in elementary school because of his overactive imagination and how he was always daydreaming, and he got very depressed about it. However, as he grew up, he realized that in order to find success and happiness in his own life, he had to be himself. He couldn't be something that he wasn't. So, in order to do this, he perfectly expressed and delved into his imagination and decided that he wanted to help kids just like him. By creating these magical lands and stories, he helped kids just like him who were bullied find an escape in reality and find something more dedicated to their passions and loves. We see through Rodell that he stood up for himself because he took one of the things that made him special and embraced it and listened to nobody else. And that is something we all must do. We all have differences in our life. We're all special in some unique way. However, we cannot be ashamed of these differences or what makes us special. This will only lead us to hide our true self and never be able to create ourselves. Instead, we must take these differences and emphasize them in our own work and make them stars of our own personality. And we must never be ashamed of these traits. So in order to create yourself, take a delve inside yourself and see what makes you unique and never try to hide that. And finally, we must take a look at how you must never give up, even when you're at your lowest point. And we can see it through the book Mila 18. In the book Mila 18, it tells the story of pre-Holocaust in Warsaw when the Nazis were trying to eliminate the Jews in the Poland capital. Alexander Brandel at first wants to give up. He's a community leader, but he fears that the Nazis are too powerful and will overwipe him. However, after having help and taking consideration from his deputy, he realizes that he cannot give up so easily. If he gives up, he is no worse than the oppressors. He decides instead he has to do something about it. So instead of sitting down on his butt, he decides to get up, and he saves tens of thousands of Jews in the end, because he was not going to fall to the detriment of inaction. He was going to do something. This is a lesson we must all learn. Even when we're at our lowest point, we can always bounce back. We cannot give up too easily. And even when everything's against us, you must know that you can make a little bit of light in this world, no matter what it is. Looking at today's quotation, life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself, by George Bernard Shaw. What this means is we must always be doing more. We cannot expect to sit around and have things fall into our lap. Instead, we must act on it, because that is the only true way to find success. And we saw it through three key areas. First, how you must always be persevering, like Soichiro Honda, because that is the only way to find your success and what your goals are. Second, we took a look at standing up at your bullies and embracing your differences, just like Rodell did to embrace his differences and create a safe haven for others. And finally, we took a look at how you must stand up no matter the consequences and no matter how dark the time period is, just like Alexander Brandel did by saving tens of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust. Colonel Sanders faced hundreds and thousands of failures, but he was not going to give up that easily. He could have given up before any of this happened, but he kept on going, and because this became the successful giant that he knew. So we must always remember, barriers are just barriers. What we choose to do with them is what makes us, us.